We lost Gilbert. We lost Gilbert.
You can see him on his iPad.
Yeah, we don't. He's not in the meeting now anymore. Okay, he's just joining in.
I'm back.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
Okay.
I just pressed the wrong button and I disconnected from you. So you saw me there, so from the other image, so you knew I was fiddling with something. Okay, today is April 19th, 2021, and we're going to continue with our regular Monday night class, and we're continuing on with the continuing on
iPad.
You can hear me, right? All right. With our study of Chan masters and their exchanges between their students. And here in this one is directed towards Hui Neng. And it starts with this one monk, Yin Zong. And Yin Zong was talking about the sutras, and he was following Hui Neng, who was in the area at the time when he was doing the discourse on the Buddhist sutras. And one day during the lecture, a storm comes up. And so all of a sudden there was a flag or a banner that was flying. And two of the people who were in the audience began to have a discussion. Now, this story's been told so many times. I mean, it's like, oh, it's story number 57, and everybody goes, oh, I know what story number 57 is. But do you really? I mean, this one was kind of giving me fits, and it seems like it's so simple, but when you start looking at it from a different viewpoint, it changes. So here we go, and so one of them says, oh, that I see the banner is moving. And the other one says, well, I see the banner, I see the wind moving the banner. So one was saying the wind, the other one was saying the banner, wind, banner. So finally it was probably got so loud of a discussion, Yin Zong was disturbed and asked them, well, what's going on? And they started saying, I say that the wind moves and that moves the banner. And the other says the banner is moving, the wind, has nothing to do with it. And so they say, which one of us is right? So oftentimes a well-known advisor is asked to settle disputes between the parties. This one's right, this one's wrong, whatever. And in this case, they said, well, Master Hui Neng is right here. Why don't we ask him which one is moving? So Yin Zong goes to the master and relates what the issue is. And so when he gets to the end of the story, Hui Neng said, neither the wind nor the flag is moving. So this part right? So what is moving? You know that too, right? So somebody please tell me, what is moving?
Your mind.
Your mind, yes, your mind. But it's very, very interesting because when we say it's our mind moving, exactly what mind is it that is moving? And is this good or bad? What do you think? I have a lot of senior students out there. Is this good or bad? Or anybody who wants to dip in?
The mind that moves is not the true mind.
The mind that moves is not the true mind. So this is what you've been taught all along. So how many of you agree with Senta. Senta, you're such a brave soul to step out like that. But it looks like it's the obvious, right? But I have a little different spin on it. So
yeah, there is no good and no worse. Just the true mind recognize the mind to weave in with the outside.
okay, who is speaking? Oh,
Yachi. Sorry, I didn't change my name. I will change it.
I didn't see it. I see you. Okay. So let us talk about that. Can you please say it again?
The true mind watching the mind weaving with outside, and there is no better and no worse. Just watching. Just recognize the mind to weaving.
So is the mind that moves?
Yeah.
Is this, as Senta says, the false mind?
But isn't there is only one mind, only the true mind to watching and recognize the outside.
Okay, I'll go back to Senta and give her a chance to modify what she was saying if she wants to.
The true mind never not moves.
It never not moves. That's like a double negative. So that means that it's always moving.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like a politician that's wrong, but doesn't want to admit that they're wrong. So they change it to a never not. It never not is false. So do you still think it's a false mind?
It depends on what it's moving in. If it is if it's my mind that's moving within something else that's not moving, that's not the true mind.
Exactly. Where do we find that cutout of the true mind to make it Senta's mind?
That's exactly why it is not the true mind.
But Yaki said, and by the way, Neng agreed with her, without thinking of what is sacred or profane, what is your mind?
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is a very tiny adjustment, but I picked it up and saw it. And that's why I was telling you, it was kind of giving me fits because I was going through the process of what Senta was going through, because that's kind of how it's presented to us. Oh, it's your mind that's moving. Ha, 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 ha. You know, it's not really the wind, or it's not the banner, it's your mind. It's like who is moving me? Oh, my tail's moving me. It's not that way. It's like what Yaki is saying. It's very, very interesting. There's nothing wrong with the mind moving. And there's nothing false about it. It's an illusion, but that illusion is in mind itself. That is real. It's momentary, like a quark appearing and gone. But nevertheless, it appears in mind. It's of the substance of mind. So it is neither sacred nor profane. And we miss that. And it's not taught. Yes, go ahead. You want to?
No, but if we are talking about something moving in mind, it is not all of mind. It is only a part of mind. It is not all of mind. So either the whole mind is moving, or what is moving is only a part of mind that cannot be separated out from mind.
It cannot be separated out. It's just mind. We give the perspective of something moving towards us or moving away from us, but there's no us there. Mind is on the side moving towards you, and mind is on the side that's moving closer. And mind is that which is the object and the subject of the perception of the five skandha. It's all of those things. That's why we say it's fundamentally empty. It's an interesting way to take a look at this, so that we don't get trapped in this idea that there is something false there. Because this is something that requires the contemplation and to look at this and go, just this, the mind is moving. I mentioned this many times, and when I was in college, I had this wood print from that was a copy of the Great Wave of Japan, and the little saying at the bottom was, it said, "I am moving all day, and yet I'm not moving at all." That, at first, I thought that was really, really cool. And I liked that. And then it bothered me, and it bothered me and bothered me. Every time I read it, it really, really bothered me and said, something is wrong with this. I'm moving all day. I'm like the waves that ever go rolling, moving all day, but I'm not moving at all. And then I said, no, it's this way. Like the waves that ever go rolling, moving all day, but yet not moving at all. There's no I there. So if there's no I, there can be nothing that's false. It is just pratika samappada, causes and conditions, mind itself. So mind is the banner, mind is the wind. It's ultimately still, but yet moving. And I was unable to find my book on this, but I wanted to read to you about this idea. It was the case of Wolung's skill. And this one master, Wolung, was saying that when thoughts arise all the time, we have to make the effort to cut off the thoughts. And when Neng read this, he said, no, that's not right. It's still lacking something. And he was saying, Neng has thoughts all day long, many, many thoughts all day long. He doesn't try to cut them off. The Bodhi is just like this. So he's not saying that it's the thoughts that are bad. What he's saying is that this attachment to it, but the idea of looking at this from the viewpoint of mind itself rectifies all of the possible errors that we have, where we've made mistakes in terms of saying something is sacred or something is profane. So this is a very, very fine tuning, but it's important. It's really, really important, because if you ever use this story and don't present it the way I'm doing it, then I will come back to haunt you on that, because you have to see that there's something a little bit different here, where he's saying your mind is moving. Yes, it is ekayana. He's presenting ekayana, just this mind. So what is that? Mind is moving, but mind moves all the time. But that is its stillness, is that it is constantly moving, appearances coming and going. And we do not see that. We talk about that this is illusory, and we say that this is just a dream, but ultimately everything returns to mind. And in this way, when we see this, it's a difference, like a little tiny fine tuning, so that we don't get stuck on this of trying to keep polishing and polishing, rather than looking just right directly into mind. And so when we see that, then what I'm saying makes sense. And so when we don't quite see it, then we get trapped into this, that it's a false mind that's moving. You're correct. It is an illusory mind. It's not, let's say, true mind. But then again, we cannot separate it out, because it's nevertheless appearing within mind. It's even whatever we perceive to be sacred or profane is the fabric of mind itself. And in this way, we see that, and we see that the mind is constantly moving in accordance with causes and conditions. And this is kind of an important little twist on this story. So we'll go on from there. Did you want to say anything more, Santa? No? Okay. I know this is kind of a different one, but like I said, I had the benefit of having this bug through my head for the weekend. And it literally was doing that, where I was looking at it and something, and then finally it just clicked. And then I saw it. Maybe even to me, it's not perfect, but this is where I'm at in terms of that. So we continue on. So, and by the way, that's kind of an interesting thing, because there's another analogy that drives me crazy. And that's something that I had read about, that it's not the water below the bridge that's moving, it is the bridge that's moving. And that one is one that you can kind of, you have to contemplate it. It does you no good to try to cogitate or think about what that means. You really, if you contemplate it, the bridge will move. But it's very, very interesting in that, because the bridge is mind, the water is mind as well. So it's kind of a funny thing, but you just have to kind of play with those types of things, not as concepts, but as just mind itself. So we continue. Those who would rather practice those who would realize the practice of non-action must arrive at non-perception of the errors of people. This is non-moving nature. Deluded people simply stop the movements of their body, but soon as they open their mouths, they are talking about people's rights and wrongs and contradicting the way. When we see this, anything that's happening, when we see people that talk too loud or lie or whatever they're doing, or deceive or blowing themselves up to be big, whatever, we see that as just the product of causes and conditions. We see it like a dream. We know ultimately that person is using the Buddha mind. And when we look at this, we don't see the rights and wrongs as much as we see the causes and conditions. The Buddha mind, it has an interest in resolving these illusions in mind, and because it wants to resolve it on behalf of mind. And so it's a different way in which one looks at the world. In this school of Buddhism, what is it we call sitting in Zen meditation? And this is something that's very interesting, because so much effort is made to teach Zen meditation. You have to sit this way, put this here, put your hands in this way. You have to be this way. You pick up your method, you hold your method, you get sleepy, your legs hurt, you have a scattered mind. And that's it, saying, I hope you can do it. I hope you can sit there and do that. But we don't have to do it in that way. It was interesting because I wrote an article this weekend in the Chan Forum on patience. And I remembered what Han Shan said, that the people, they don't know the shortcut. And as a result of not knowing the shortcut, they sit and trying to make themselves, into an enlightened person. But the shortcut is right view. If we have right view, and when we sit, everything is natural. So as we're sitting, and what happens is that we're sitting and there is an awareness around us. We're in the present moment, and whatever thoughts that are in mind coming up like echoes from the past come up. We are aware that this is happening, and we are aware that this is precisely how mind works. Now, over the weekend, I was talking to one of my students online, and she said she had a lot of trouble with leg pain and scattered thoughts, and it was difficult for her to hold it. And I told her that the difficulty is that the manner in which she was practicing the meditation was not correct. And as a result of that, she was constantly feeling like she had to rein it all in and get control of this and stop the thoughts and whatever. So when I presented to her the elements of a right view practice, today she lined me, I guess you call it line, and she said that she was so joyous that she actually could sit. She didn't say that she sat well in meditation. She said she could actually meditate. That was very significant, because what that meant is that she realized that what she was doing before really was not meditation, simply because even we can't call it meditation simply by crossing your legs and sitting. Meditation is when one uses the true and proper understanding of how mind works to allow the mind simply to take a rest. The rest comes naturally. Everything comes naturally. Everything in this world appears naturally. Even what we may think as the sacred or the profane, it appears naturally in accordance with causes and conditions. There's nothing sacred or nothing profane about it. It is just in this way. So when we see things like this, it makes it easy for us to practice meditation, and it makes it easier for us to harmonize with the environment that is constantly changing. What is the environment? It's not other than mind itself. We separate out and perceive the environment as something separate from us or separate from mind, but it is not that way. Every day, Shifu used to say that, and he would put his hands out or his arms out, and he had these real long arms and hands, and he'd go, every day you're swimming in it, swimming in it, swimming in it. All the time you're swimming in it. And he would be laughing and laughing at people. They didn't understand what he was saying. They didn't see that. And he would just be laughing to himself about it. And you would look at him very curious and say, what is it that he's realized that we have not realized? And it is this, that everything is mine. Wherever you look is mine. That's why I wrote that if you take a dart and you throw it anywhere, you can't miss. What are you going to hit? Mind. Everywhere. You throw it behind you. You throw it in the past. You throw it in the future. You throw it in the present. It's all mine. And this is the Ekayana. And this is what Neng really understood from the very, very beginning. From the moment he heard the Diamond Sutra and saying that one should not dwell up anywhere, it hit clearly to him. And this was his, I would say, major contribution in terms of the advancement of Chan, was this concept of Subitism. Subitism, let me write that down for you. Or maybe, Santa, you could write it down, please. The word Subitism. There it is. So thank you. So Subitism means sudden enlightenment. Now, sudden enlightenment comes when all of a sudden there's a realization as exactly how mind works. That's what the realization is. But how does mind work? It works precisely in accordance with Pratika Samappada. So much so, then Pratika Samapada is not other than the Buddha mind. And when one has a direct realization of this, then one can advance very, very quickly. If you continue to practice, you can have greater realizations along the way. Or if you stop there, then that's it for this lifetime, and you'll only realize that. But it's important to understand that, because it is a direct encounter with mind itself, pared down from any conception. One encountering or experiencing Subhatism, the sudden enlightenment, there's no concept there. There's no calling it anything. If somebody said, "What is it? What did you experience?" Indeed, what could you say? You could not say anything, because it's just mind. It would be like a droplet of water describing the ocean of water it's in. It would be difficult, because those that have not experienced this type of a realization have no context in which to do this, because this is a direct encounter with mind. That's why we use direct contemplation of our method to tune in the channel of mind. We don't tune in the channel of obstructions, of desires, of attachments. We just simply tune in the channel of mind. And what's interesting is that channel of mind is all channels. It is just simply free of all the commercials. So how would you like to have that? And you don't even have to pay for the cable charge or for whatever connecting charge or whatever. It is just simply mind unobstructed. And in this mind that's not obstructed, there is no dwelling, no abiding. It's free. It still functions through this corporal body at this point, in terms of its function, because mind has now commandeered this body for a greater purpose in this life. But it's clear that this body is not it. It knows it. The body does not know it. But what I'm getting at is how you look at this. You have to contemplate. This contemplation is where you dig. You have to dig here for the source of the realization. Not in words, not in thoughts, not in discriminations, not real, not false. Just simply directly contemplating mind in the present moment. Okay, we continue on. So we were talking about, what do we call Zen meditation? In performing this practice, no impediments exist. When no thoughts arise with respect to what is external, this is sitting. And that's precisely what I said, but more concise, and essentially saying that no impediments exist. What? No impediments. No attaching to akusala thoughts, sticky thoughts that take you off the method. Those thoughts arise, but they don't stick. They just come and go and come and go. And even the thoughts of, "Oh, I'm doing good," please let them go away. Do not ever think that. Just continue on. So when there's no impediments there, then they're saying, when no thoughts arise with respect to the external, and here this term external, what would you define external in this context of what Neng is saying? Anybody want to take a crack at it? I know you're all jumping, pushing to the front of the line to ask, what is this external? Very interesting. We're going to break this down. This is how you study. So he says, with respect to what is external, this is sitting. So there's no impediments when no thoughts arise with respect to what is external. External of what? Nobody?
Oh,
External
always.
of
You are
mind.
not very.
Go ahead. Yaki first, and then we'll take Eon.
Yeah. Watching awareness.
Say that again.
Always watching, always awareness.
Aware.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Eon?
And I was thinking that this external that he's talking about here is like it's external to mind. So when no thoughts arise with respect to what is external or outside of mind, then all thoughts are essentially no thoughts.
But can there be thoughts outside of mind?
No, which is why there can be a misperception, though, that it's outside, which that's what the impediment is. And when there are no impediments, then there's the clear understanding that there are no thoughts outside of mind and nothing's external.
You guys must be listening to me. You know, yes, that's it. You know, it's very important what Eon said, and perhaps you might not understand what he said, but it's very, very important. It is when one is applying direct contemplation in the meditation, all of these things are arising, but they're not seen as external anymore. They're seen exactly as ekayana, just mind. But we do not need to follow that function. We follow the function of staying in the present moment with the method. That's why the method works. It's why the method works. If you have thoughts in your mind, it cannot work. That's why they say when no thoughts arise with respect to what is internal. So the thoughts will naturally arise in mind, but we don't have to purge the mind from that because it is mind. Where are they going to go? So it is just this way. And this is the deepness of Hui Neng in terms of this. But we just go and we tune into one channel and we go, oh, the mind is moving, the mind is moving. We miss everything. We don't get into this very deep esoteric aspect of mind, which when directed towards our meditation, then we're doing meditation. And that's why sometimes when I'm on a retreat, I tell the people, if you're not practicing in this way, you know, you shouldn't be sitting. You're wasting valuable oxygen. You know, you just need to get off your cushion, you know, because you're taking up oxygen for other people, but you're not doing anything on your cushion except practicing your legs. But when you do it in the right way, it pays off right away. It does. Just like the person that I talked over the weekend, and she was so happy today that she actually was meditating. Now, understand this about this person. This person meditates 3 to 4 times a day for such a long time. 3 to 4 times a day. And only today did she say she was meditating. That's how powerful right view is if it's done right and the person applies it in the correct way, it can make a difference. That's why, and there's no, how would you say, coincidence about this, because right here, that's what we're talking about. They're asking, what is Zen meditation? And we're just taught to sit on a cushion. Don't think. What do you mean, don't think? What is this, don't think? We have no idea what no thought is. Wu Yin is not having a blank mind. The mind is dynamic. It's aware. It's powerful. It's not some sleepy mind. You're not there trying to commune with zero, unless zero is the emptiness of all things. So it's different. So we continue on. When one calmly observes original nature, this is Zen. When one calmly observes original nature, this is Zen. So what is this calmly observing our original nature? So what is our original nature? This is an easy one. You only get like 5 points for this one. So somebody say, what is the original nature? Rong Chen, I know you had know this one.
It is what is your mind?
He's on Jeopardy. It is. Yeah. Yes, it's your mind. So when we say that when one calmly observes original nature, when one calmly is observing mind. So when do you observe mind? When is it? On the
All the
cushion? Huh? All the
All the-
time? Go ahead, tell me. Yaki.
Because it's the mind, it's the mind through the outside to observe the mind self. It's the it's the game.
Okay. I know it's difficult for you. The English is definitely your second language, so you're very brave to speak, but you speak with your heart, so it still can be understood. So this original nature, when we observe the mind, so we don't relegate observing the mind simply to sitting on a cushion and meditating. The mind is observed everywhere. Where is it seen? Where is it seen?
Everywhere?
Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Because again, remember what I said about throwing the dart or shooting an arrow into the sky. Wherever it goes, it will hit the mark. What is the mark? Mind. So everything is mine. You pan around your room and you see the things are there, they're mine. You look in the mirror, it's mine. Is it the real mine? No, it's temporary. It's just, and we have to be clear about this so we don't look at it and say, oh, I see Gilbert's mind. Yes, yes. No, it's not in that way. It's just mine. And that's what's important. So we continue, because this is important, because we're talking about how you practice. Detachment from external things is Zen. So detachment from external things, does that mean that if somebody offered me a donut, that I have to detach myself from the donut? Or should I detach it from their hand? So the thing is that this detachment, what do we mean by detachment from external things?
Everything is mind. So don't detach the donut, that the donut is not part of mind.
Part of my belly eventually. But okay. So these external things, when it's saying detachment from it, what is the detachment? I'll go back to Santa. What is the detachment from external things? This is easy, pleasy.
It's making a subject and an object out of mind.
Yeah.
The fools turn mind into consciousness.
Yeah. So it's very interesting here because it is counterintuitive in the manner in which it's being said, wouldn't you say? Detachment from external things is Zen. So what is this detachment? Is actually the absorption of everything, not the opposite way. And that's why language is so difficult to do this, because it's not conceptual. But when we read this in a conceptual way, and so we miss it. And that's very sad, because we miss that. We can't see that this detachment is just the absorption of everything with the realization that it is all mine. We don't have to reach for it. We don't have to push it away. It's perfectly manifesting in accordance with causes and conditions. We don't have to do that. So what do we say? Do we say, oh, this is the Buddha? What do you think? Would I say that this is the Buddha? This is a crystal clear Buddha. What do you think? Am I correct? If everything is that way, who will be brave enough to answer this question? Is this the Buddha if everything is mine?
Yes.
It is whatever you say it is.
Oh, please don't put that on me. Then you'll have to be calling me up at all times for my opinion. What do you think, Sue? I saw you raise your hand.
The mind noticed, then it is.
Sue, is this the Buddha?
It's the question. It shows the Buddha.
The question shows the Buddha. Okay, anybody else want to jump into this one?
Can it just be a manifestation of the Buddha mind like everything else?
It's a manifestation of the Buddha mind. So would you bow to my water cup?
Why not?
Interesting, because we have to look at this, because see, we're talking about this and we're talking about detachment of external things in Zen. This is no longer Chan 101, what I'm talking about. This is the good stuff. And you have to look at this and say, okay, you can't get caught up in the concepts of mind and say, oh, this cup is the Buddha, and these pens are bodhisattvas. If they're different colors, they must be Tibetan. It's not in this way. It is just a direct realization, a direct wisdom that we know what is mind. We know it from the mind's own perception, so it does not engage in foolish notions. It sees just clearly. This mind, this is an insentient object produced by mind, part of the Dharmakaya, but the sentiency makes the difference. And that's the part that we have to contemplate to see. Is Gilbert a Buddha? Is Gilbert mind a Buddha, or is it a Buddha mind? Yes. But that doesn't mean that Gilbert, this body, is the Buddha, because I have not reached this enlightenment for this to be a reward body or an appearance body. Certainly wouldn't be a reward to be in the US at this time. But it is where I work. And you see things in a different way. I'm not expecting you to get the answers. I'm expecting you to raise questions about what's going on. So then we continue. When internally the mind is composed, this is samadhi. So when we talk about when internally the mind is composed, this is samadhi. So this is relating to the sentiency. And the Buddha has the sentiency. The problem with humans is their sentiency is filled with greed, hatred, and ignorance, discriminations, and desires, which cloud the mind. But when the mind internally is composed, what does this mean when we say that the mind is composed? Anybody? I mean, we really have to look at this. I mean, you shouldn't go to the next word unless you understand what the word before it means. So he is giving you a very deep lesson here. But we read it so fast, we only get, the mind is moving. And we just make a joke of it. Ha ha ha. To people. It's not that. It's much deeper than that. It's much more nobler. So when we look at that, so what does it mean by the mind is composed? Surely some of you would know that. I don't even know if I have a Shirley here or not. But
You're on your method, one pointed method. You're focusing on your method.
You're focusing on the method, okay?
With your method, and your mind is with your method, your method's with your mind. Composed.
Okay. Shelley? Yeah.
I think I don't know if this is a proper perspective, but when you were asking the question, it made me think about that just this breath that we are taking in and out keep us alive to make the observation of the universe, the mind. And just like the mountain lake, the water is required to show the reflection of the mountain on the sky. If it is all mind, then just this breath in and out, or the mountain lake water there. But if we don't have this breath, if there's no water, the universe still there. It is for whom to be seen or to see for reflection.
I cannot correct what you're saying, because what you're saying is free flow, and it is a contemplation in the present moment, and it is what enables the mind to become composed. And little by little, what you're presenting will become more and more clarified. But what you're showing is how to compose the mind, is letting it go. You're feeling from your heart, not from your thoughts. And indeed, it's very interesting when you say, without the water, there cannot be the reflection. Because even in this moment, and at the time when you're saying that, you are not thinking of what you're saying. It's just coming out naturally, and it's a free flow. And it's very beautiful in terms of that. And it's how, as I say, how one becomes and has this composed mind. The composed mind is not reaching, not wanting anything, not looking for anything, not expecting anything. It's all there. And it's kind of like mind wrapping everything around it like this wonderful comforter. But this comforter is made up of mind, and all appearances, the patterns on the comforter are just the reflections on the lake, just in that same way. So the mind is just resting in compose. When it's resting, it doesn't generate any kind of thought. It is just simply there. It is not dead. And please, you have to be careful with this, that you don't end up with in a devil's cave where all the lights are off, and like shutting the refrigerator door, but not even it's getting cool inside. It's all dead, nothing in there. It is not in this way. Mind is still active. It's vibrant. It's functioning, but it's not engaged in anything but simply meditation. And in meditation, it's clear about that. In the present moment, there is still mind there. We're not going into a comatose state. This is different. And we have to practice it in this way rather than trying to induce the mind into a coma. Many of you have done this. Try to make your mind dead, and then you come out of it and you go, wow, that was pretty good. I didn't have any thoughts at all. I wonder what's for lunch. I hope they have some American food today or whatever. You know, you did nothing when you were in that state. It wasn't anything. But when you come out of it and with this kind of a composed samadhi, you take it with you. You take this composed samadhi and you're able to deal with the things around you and harmonize with the environment around you. It's wonderful. So you don't throw this body out. No, it can, after you're finished with it, no, or it's finished with you, more to speak clearly about it, then that's fine. But right now, you and it have a pact that you try to take care of it, and in turn, it will take care of the sentient beings. This is a composed mind. If one clings to external forms, then internally the mind is scattered and confused. If one is unattached to external forms, then internally the mind is composed. So the more we just let the mind rest in the present moment, not generating opinions, aversions, things that we want. No, and believe me, I wish I was that way 100%. I'm not. I'm just like you are in terms of the life. Maybe the only difference is I know when my mind is composed and when it's not, and when it's seeking something. You can discern that as much, but little by little, there's the practice that we try to elevate our practice to become more unconcerned. I shouldn't say unconcerned. Unattaching to the appearances. It doesn't mean that we disengage from the world. Quite the contrary, we're more engaged. The only difference is the manner in which we're engaged is better than before. Original nature has self-purity and self-composure. It is only when, through causation, some condition is encountered that confusion arises. So this is kind of an interesting thing, because he's saying that our original nature has a self-purity to it and a self-composure. And you go, but where's my composure? Like today I lost my composure. I was worried about this, or I was worried about that, or whatever. And you get concerned about everything. And you lose that self-purity. Today, I was waiting for my accountant. I went to his office. I've known him for many years, maybe 30 or 40 years, and well, maybe 30 years. And he didn't show up at his office. And I was there. Not only that, but I really needed to use the restroom. And I was like, so going, what was happening? But you know what I thought about? I knew that one way or another, I would take care of that issue. But my concern was, he has never, ever been late in all these years when we've gotten together. My concern was for him and how he was feeling, and wondering if he was okay, rather than worrying about where is he, this is my time, I'm so this way and that way. It could be very bad, but I maintained my composure, and I was worried about, and sure enough, he called me later and said that he had an episode that he was feeling uncomfortable and he couldn't drive, and he's probably maybe 10 years older than me, and he was having trouble, and my concern was upon him, not on myself. So you maintain your composure, you figure out what is going to happen, and you're fine with that. No, this is kind of the way that the practice can help you in an everyday life.
Sorry to interrupt. I just
Yeah.
Maybe because you are too worried and concerned, that make him feel uncomfortable.
I'm sorry?
Maybe because the true mind, it's through you to reflection that this uncomfortable, that makes he receive this uncomfortable, then he feel uncomfortable.
No, not really. He had that before, I had arrived. He had it earlier in the morning. I hope my uncomfortableness and my own vexations don't affect people. I try to keep my mind clean of that and clean of my thoughts of ill will towards people, because I do realize how powerful mind is, and you can affect people in very very interesting ways. I was. Let me give you an example. All right, you can believe it or not believe it, but in retreats, I often, if people are snoozing, I will try to make their head move up, give them chi, and let them straighten their body. And so as I was doing, I would do this in retreats, and I would say it's probably works 80 to 90% of the time, where I can get the person to go, unless, I can hold them there for a while, and if they're really dead, then they'll just keep moving. But most of the time I can do that. But when I was doing it, I saw somebody doing this in my European group, with the Russian translation, and I was straightening the person up, and I was looking at the screen with all of the different grids of people there. And I realized as I was moving the person that was next to them, just above them, started moving too. So it's very, very unusual, because I would move like this, and then the person would start moving. And it is in this way that sometimes you can influence people like this, even the people you don't even intend to influence. They can be influenced by that. So as I'm kind of moving my fingers like that, it's interesting, because the person next to you was also moving. So it's strange, because the mind is just in this way that it can have this kind of influence. Doesn't mean that's something special or something important or anything else. It's just kind of showing you that could be something, but not this time, because I generally use my mind in a proper way. So instead, I was sending him healing energy. And then that's when later on, then he contacted me. He started feeling better. Whether I helped him or not, I don't know, but it can't hurt, right? Okay.
Gilbert, Damien has a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Gilbert. Regarding this example, this is quite a big problem that I have in terms of anger coming up inside, and also a lot of judgment. When I'm faced with someone doing something that I don't want, I guess, or I see that they could have prevented a problem, I start judging them and start thinking about in terms of, well, if they did this, then this problem wouldn't have happened. And then sometimes it's like I jump in and start taking ownership of trying to solve the problem. So in terms of Chan and working with the mind, you made reference to a shift in perception, but I'm finding the anger sometimes and the judgment comes up quite quickly inside of myself.
This is not bad. Maybe you spent...
My partner doesn't think so.
But wait, you may have spent an entire lifetime not knowing that. To know that this is coming, and knowing that this is a guest in your mind, a negative guest, this wonderful news. Because when you do that, now you know that you have this coming up. You've observed it. So who is observing this? This is your original mind. This anger, whatever is coming up, is just causes and conditions. But now you have isolated this out, and you know that through practice that you cannot give, or you do not give any energy to that. You just let it go. It's just like when you have a child that's always wanting attention, and they always are doing bad things just to get your attention. You just simply ignore them, and so you see the things in this way. I remember a long time ago, very long time ago, my one of my children were acting out, and he was so mad and turning red and going like this and so angry. But it was turned around by his mother in a very interesting way, because he was literally screaming at the top of his lungs. He was probably, let's say, 2, maybe 3 at the most, probably closer to 2, the terrible 2s. And he was screaming. And she looked at him and said, "Wow, that was incredible. How can you scream so loud? Scream again. I want to hear that scream. I've never heard a scream so loud in my life." And he would scream, "Ah!" And she would go, "That was even better than the other one. I bet you can't top that. So scream again." And then it wasn't shortly after, or it was just shortly after that, he started laughing, because he realized that in that moment, he realized what he was doing, and he had to laugh. Even at that young of an age, he was able to see that this anger was coming up, and he could actually control it. And he never realized that. And so this is what we want to do, is we want to be able to recognize something so that we can control it. So not bad. That's good. You should not be too much of a self-flagellant, to punish yourself. It's more important that you made this important recognition that this is arising. Okay. Let me see where I can finish, and then we'll take some questions. Remaining apart from form, one remains unperturbed, and samadhi is realized. Externally Zen, internally samadhi. Together, they are called sitting Zen. So externally Zen, which we said there's this detachment from external things, but a detachment not in the way that we see it. Rather, it's an absorption of everything into the self nature of mind is the detachment. It's not trying to purge the mind from thoughts. It's understanding it via the mind's own perception. That is the Zen. And internally, when we maintain the samadhi of composed mind, that is sitting Zen. If you sit and you don't sit with sitting Zen, you're not really practicing Chan. You're practicing meditation, not bad, and you can practice your legs, and that's impressive, but you're not going to get the realizations in terms of that, because you're not bringing your mind in accord with mind. If you do that, then it will work. So we'll start again next week. I think that this is very fertile ground in which to study, and I think you've learned a bit about meditation and what meditation should be. So this is like I say, a little tiny tweaking here and there, but it keeps us from falling into these traps that so often come up in terms of the practice and the so-called understandings that we have in terms of what the practice is. Okay, so I will take your questions now. It's always so difficult in the beginning. Nobody wants to be the first one out on the dance floor. It's like some junior high event.
Gilbert, I have a question. Can you please help me to have a better understanding of the analogy of mind and the phenomenon. Like I can understand like the ocean wave and the deep ocean. That's a good analogy. What about a mirror and the image? The mirror is still also internal. It's part of the mirror. The mirror is motionless, but it reflects everything. So is that also a good analogy for the mind and the phenomenon?
It's a very, very good analogy because of the fact that the mirror does not interfere with the appearances on it. That's why we say neither sacred nor profane. But the mirror, when you put two mirrors together, what is seen? It's infinite, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever, like, somewhere you were getting a suit or something and there's mirrors behind you and mirrors in front of you and you see mirrors, you know, just little tiny images of yourself going out in infinitely. It's very interesting. But the what's important, Rongchen, is that the mirror must be there. If the mirror is not there, then there's nothing that exists.
Yeah, the mind is always there.
And that's the mirror.
Yes.
This is the Dharmakaya, and the knowing mind, the other aspect of it is the knowing mind, which is the perception of mind. So we have these two aspects of mind, which are the same. You could say that's the infinite of the mirror, and the appearances that come and go on it, they too are mind. They're just, as I mentioned before, like these subatomic particles, quarks, that just show up for the most infinitesimally small moment of time and then are gone. And we see that, but we do not dwell on the appearances. The mirror could not do that. If the mirror dwelled on the appearances, it could not be a mirror. And so the mind, you use this to contemplate the mind in this way. Now, because we're still using conventional examples, it can only take you so far, but nevertheless, it can help you to contemplate. And if you know when to let go of the conception aspect of it and go into the other, it's just like the way that Li She was speaking. It was a free flow, and it didn't matter whether it's entirely correct or not, but it enabled her to contemplate, and you just allow the mind to be this way. So this is a good analogy for you. I think this is probably a better analogy where you see that. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But that's a good place to start. Algo más? Something more? You guys all understood what I talked about. You sure you understood it? I think the one, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand totally.
Okay.
Well, Wendy has a question or a comment.
All right.
I didn't understand totally. I understand some. So the mind, the correct way is saying to meditate is you rest your mind in here and now. The thoughts come and you don't fight it, you don't follow it, you just let it be. It's like your attention is like the arrow. You try to not to stick to the thoughts, or I'm trying to understand what's the correct way of meditating. but I
Oh.
don't, yeah.
Okay, close your eyes to take a meditation. Think in this moment only of the present moment. Relax your body, relax your mind. Be aware of everything in your room, including behind you. You may see a fan, a clock, a wall. You're completely aware of everything in your room, completely in all directions. Stay in the present moment and you relax. You bring up your method. You make the present moment, slice it thinner and thinner. On one side, it is the future. On the other, the past. Only this very tiny slice do we perceive to be the present moment. What is coming and what is past, we pay no attention to. Just as present. Holding the method in this present moment. Use your mind to contemplate what this means, what this moment is. Between the past and the future, sharpen it, but relax. Relax the mind in the present moment. Rest it here. Only looking at the method, contemplating, not thinking about the method, just looking. Like a mother in a park with their child on the playground. The mother doesn't have to always look, but must be aware where the child is. Relaxed, not worried. Attentive to the method. The method is your child. Right in the present moment. Sharpen this moment. Be aware of everything around you, and eventually even the walls of your room will expand. Carefully watching. Directly contemplating the method. Do not take your mind off of it. Holding the method. Lightly holding it. In this present moment. Your body's relaxed, your mind's relaxed. You don't jump to the future or hold to the past. Just this moment. The Buddha is in the present moment. The Buddha mind. Looking at the Buddha mind. So clear. Relax. Continuously relaxed in the present moment. There's no interest in picking up or putting anything down. Just stay in this present moment. Do not expect the future nor cling to the past. That moment's gone. The moment to come has not arrived. Just this present moment. Just this method. Just this. Yes? Wendy? This is how you practice meditation. This is exactly what Wei Neng was teaching. This is sitting in Zen. So you get a taste of this and you feel it. The more you practice it, the better you get. Be patient, you will get this, but it will make the difference. It is this that changed my student. And she realized she had not been meditating before. Of course, she was crossing her legs, but she understood the difference. This is what we need to teach others, to teach them the right way to meditate with right view. If we can do this, then people will be better practitioners. Better practitioners, their bodhi will be more evident in them. They will have more interest in delivering others, bringing others to this peace and quiet, to this compassion that we have. So we begin to get an interest in helping others because we realize the benefit of this kind of sitting. It lends itself to realizations, not conceptualization. Okay. Good. Any other questions? $25 for the session, by the way, for each of you. I'll expect a check in the mail. Yeah, it's better than some of those people that charge $5,000 for enlightenment. No other questions? Yes, go ahead, Jane. Go ahead.
Is this samadhi is the same as the one mind? I think they are different, but if they are different, which one is more difficult to reach?
What did you say the first one was?
The samadhi?
Samadhi.
Samadhi, sorry, samadhi.
Uh-huh. Samadhi is just simply part of the method to quiet the mind. And so we need both the samadhi and we need the illumination of the mind. The illumination of the mind is used by the self-absorption of all of the nature so that it's just mind. This is the illumination of the mind. So this is when we talk about the silent illumination. That's what you're doing. Is the samadhi is there, and it has to be balanced, carefully balanced, with the awareness of mind. And so this is not just simply an awareness that, oh, I hear this or I hear that. It is the awareness founded on wisdom that all of this is mind. And so when it's founded on that, you're creating a fertile mind ground for the practice. So, but that's why the samadhi is so important, because it enables one to maintain the composure of the mind. And when it has this composure of the mind, then the mind can illuminate, and it is aware, and in many different ways. So we see this world as to have follow certain rules and things, but it's actually an illusion. The power of the mind is very, very incredible. And it is that we really are looking for. We're I shouldn't say looking for, but we're attuning to that power and utilizing it. It's what the ancients said, you use your intrinsic power to derive power. So we derive power from the practice, okay? But it's not like you just sit and you'll get this power. It has to have right view. So when we do that, then we understand, for instance, Mo Chao, just sitting, what that really means. So once we understand that, then we can really generate great wisdom from the sitting practice. If you're not getting wisdom from it, you know, you are not doing it in the correct way. So when you do it right, even there's a tiny little bits of realization as it goes along. We don't attach to those realizations. We don't seek them. We don't do anything. They just come naturally, because it's just simply the exposure of how mind works. So that's very important. When we hold on to it and say, I want to become enlightened, this is foolishness. It's nonsense. Don't think in that way. Just simply wake up. You already have it. So it's in this way. But yeah, you're correct. These things come together and they work. Okay.
Okay.
Good question.
I have another question. So I understand that I experienced a few times that there are times that it's not like you try to no thought. It's automatic happen, like you are plugged into a plug, you know, to outlet, and you. So are we trying to be that way? Because I think it happened automatically, and I have no control of when it's gonna happen. But I don't know, is this a through practice, or is something, or are we trying to be that way, or we, you know, I just don't know, is automatically, or are we work hard to make that happen? Because, you know, I know that a situation that there's no effort at all. It was just like the nature. It was just, it happened automatically. It's so strong, and it's happened so many times. I'm not, you know, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's not like.
Of course I do. I have a t-shirt for it. So it's good. So here's what we do. Santa, you respond to her. You have plenty of wisdom, and you can guide her properly.
Okay. So when we sit on the cushion, we are not trying to reproduce any specific experience. However, we have faith that the method always works. So when it just happened that way for you, the method was working. So with faith in the method, you just pick up the method, and whatever thoughts that come up, you don't consider that external. It is just arising according to causes and conditions, and it is impeccable. And when you continue that way, then internally the mind stabilizes, is composed. And whatever is seen as external is no longer external. And mind works this way, with faith in mind.
It's very important. So when you're practicing these situations, these experiences will come up. It's just like when we talked about the 50 demonic states. This is some kind of an experience for you, but you let it go. Okay, you just realize that this, you were doing it correctly. When you start to think about what the experience was, then you're no longer doing it correctly. So the trick is to maintain that, just like what I was saying to Wendy, you maintain this present moment. Always maintain it. When you're off the cushion, you're in the present moment. No, people shouldn't go, Gilbert, where are you? No, you were there. You're dynamic and active. So this is just a product of that. Don't get too excited, or don't get, like, confused about it. There's no need to cling to it at all. Just keep going. It's like a farmer. If you're the first time when you're a farmer, you plant your crops and then you see the seeds grow and sprout, and you're so excited, right? Because you've never seen that, and you water and cultivate it, and you see it coming. It's almost like an incredible magic. But if you're a seasoned farmer, we've seen that. From all the seeds that I planted, I know that I can grow a good crop, and I've grown a great crop of practitioners. And each season brings me more seeds to plant, and more and more. And it's just in this way. It's just so wonderful that we do that. And not only that, but I teach those who follow me how to plant their own crops. And they too have the people that follow them. It is just in this way. Ultimately, what I'm talking about is the compassion of the mind itself. You will get there. You will get there because you have a great sincerity in the practice. Not only that, but you have a great faith, as what Sentha was talking about. You have a great faith in that, and the energy to do that. There's people like you, like Esther, she has it. Now we have VJ and Ruth, that they have more energy. Sue, she's been this way, Eon and Michael, they followed Anya Pan. All the people, they come and follow this way. If they learn how to do this, then they begin to plant their own crops. Like Anya Pan, he has a lecture series going on, and so he too is like a Johnny Appleseed, planting the seeds everywhere himself. And Sushi's always the assistant there. She always has a hoe and water ready. And so I was going to say fertilizer, but that might sound a little bit too bad. But in any case, she sets the fertile ground for the practice. So it's good. So just keep going this way. Okay. Any last question? I ate up some of Santha's meditation time today.
But you did you led the meditation, so we're good.
Well, I know there's some people who haven't experienced my type of guided meditation. Most of you have, but in any case, it can't hurt to do it again. Okay. Anything else? No. We will continue next week. Again, to me, this has been a real joy in presenting this, because I had the opportunity to kind of rekindle what I had with the Riverside group in a more intimate setting, and having people participate, ask questions, be challenged, because this is the Chan. It's very, very powerful this way. So we'll continue on. Then I'll go back to some more formal lectures, but this is kind of something that's is necessary in terms of that. And those who haven't asked questions or participated, please do so, because there's going to be one day when I'm not Zooming anymore. I'm not going to Zoom. I'm not Zooming nothing. I mean, I'll be gone. And you'll go, gosh, I wish I would have asked him this question, or I wish I would have had this. The more that you ask the questions, the more you have, the more intimate you become with my mind. And that's important. You can can kind of feed off of that energy, and that's good. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hi to Robert. First time I seen you come back. You lost some weight.
Oh, there he is. I see him there.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. How you feel?
My eye is pretty easily tired, but the rest is recovering pretty well.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Well, thank you. I mean, all of you. Thank you.
Good to see you, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss my echo.
You miss your parrot.
My parrot. I have my parrot on my shoulder. How can I be a pirate without a parrot? But that's good. I'm glad to see you. You know that it's very, very good. You still have a lot more to pick up in this lifetime. You have people to pick up in this lifetime. Okay, so remember that. You are the beacon in San Francisco right now.
Yeah, what I realized from this last episode is like, I think the message was very clear that life changed so fast, and I was so fortunate to be given a second chance. So my advice or my sharing to everyone is practice as if your head is on fire. Don't wait. You won't be here tomorrow. You never know.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So I will go to you on that. So if I ask if there's any advice you can give, you could say that practice as if your head is on fire. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very good. I mean that, because when you do that, then you have more sincerity in the practice, because you realize just this breath is very, very important. So that's good for you.
Yeah. Very happy to be back with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will sign off. Thank you all for attending. We'll continue on with this, and it helps me know you rather than just like a talking head there, or just a head. Now you're talking, and I can feel your personalities as well. So I'm so happy that you are attending. Okay. So Amitofo, I will see you next week. We continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, all of you.